Hey, thanks, Jules. Thanks, Aviel team. Thanks for having us here. It's a pleasure to join this session and then answering the community. Yeah,
It's a pretty exciting day, getting this chance to interact with the community in a more structured fashion. So thanks a lot to AVL team for like organizing something like this here.
the first one is actually Chatwood has been an integral part of my office team. Kudos to the maintainers. Could you tell us which category of applications we can expect to be integrated into Chatwood in the near future? So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see a person who is actually like using the product and like replying to us. It's a pleasure. So like in terms of the product and in terms of the features which we are building out in future, so the way we actually think about it is like we wanted to be a standard for open source communication, open source customer communication. So we would be bringing in more channels in the next couple of releases. We would be bringing in Google business messaging and Instagram DMs. So that would be the exciting new features which we will be releasing in the next one. And probably down the lane we'll be adding more features for customer engagement, engaging your customers via different channels. So we'll be adding all those things together.
Yep. Yep. So I think I can pick up this question. So I see. Yeah. So there are many projects, including the one I'm working on, to face the problem of deciding which feature to launch next. Can you describe how you do it? Is it mostly from customer feedback, or do you have like a process for it? Also, how do you decide which user to offer the feature, like the enterprise, business, startup, and hacker plans? Yeah. So to answer that, I mean, for us, the prioritization of features, it's like very dependent on talking to users, like customers the king. We want to build things that's like actually useful for the customers. So probably like 50 to 60% of our bucket would be requests from the customers. But we also like study the space extensively. So we look for the like industry trends. So we adopt features that's like available on probably on the alternatives. So if someone's like looking to switch over to Chatwood, we would want to like offer feature parity for the existing solutions out there. We also have some enterprise clients. We want to like give them some level of priority in terms of features which we bring in. So yeah, we leave around like 20% for that as well. So if you ask me like which feature you want to like pick in your product, like if you're an early stage startup, it's all about like talking to customers, like just talk to them, identify what they want, rather than trying to like build it out from your gut. In terms of like deciding on pricing, like we are iterating it's still like very early days. Like when we started out, we did like a support based pricing, which sort of evolved into like a pricing based on like feature buckets. We are continuing to like iterate over that. It's mostly about we try to like capture like a percentage of the value which we provide to the end customers, and we've been like writing about the process as well, so you can like learn more about that on our blogs. Yeah.
The next question is from I don't know, there's no full name, but I'll just say, the next question is actually this. Are you planning to allow agents to appear online when the app isn't open? I respond within a few seconds, but no one waits for an answer if they think that you are not there. So I guess this is one of the critical things which we have got a lot of feedback on, where in earlier days, we didn't have a business hours feature. So most people needed to be online to respond to their customers. Otherwise, on the widget side, they they were shown as offline, or they were not available. So but in the recent releases, we have launched a feature called business hours, at which you can set your business hours. So even though if you are not online on the widget side, it would actually show that your team is online, and you would get a reply from X minutes, or X hours, depending on what you set on set as your reply time. So I think for this particular query, if you enable the business hours feature, you would actually be able to overcome the problem which you are actually mentioning.
Just that I see this question from Audio Slave and I found it like pretty interesting. So the question is like, hi guys, I'm currently working on a stealth startup and data privacy is a big concern for me and my team. Can you tell us how Chatboot is better than its competitors in the domain of data privacy? Do you encrypt data and can you access our enterprise data post deployment? So I mean, I would like to like add some pointers over there since it touches upon our key premises. So yeah, like first thing, we are open source. So whatever claims I make in the code, it's available out there. You can audit and you can see what's happening inside. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the software is like hosted on your premises. We don't have like any access to the data. Like we aren't planning to do that. And that's our core strength. I mean, like retaining all the data in your premises with no access from our team. So yeah, like and you get like a lot of options. I mean, it's open source, it's extendable. Like if you want to like add more security measures, you have the option. If you want to like put it behind like a private network, I mean, that's available. So you are in control, you are in power. And again, in terms of the validation, yes, the code's like open source and like auditable, so you can like validate the claims which we make as well. So yeah.
I read your blog post about deciding to build in open. I have been working on a SaaS product around customer engagement and was really inspired by your story. What are the steps to keep in mind and while taking a product built for SaaS into open source project? Any tips and roadblocks to watch out for here? So yeah, I mean, thanks for the question. I think in like ours was kind of an accidental launch, or I wouldn't say we were really prepared to convert a SaaS SaaS application to an open source project. So it actually happened over the time when we figured there is a need for an open source solution or or a self-hosted solution. So I think to answer your question, what are the steps to keep in mind? I don't think there is any particular formula or any particular kind of advice which I can give, but it's mostly around even if you are open sourcing, whenever you're open sourcing the project, you would have to figure out how to build the community. We actually talk to most of our customers who, or most of the people who actually interacted with the repo initially. We try to set calls with them, we try to talk to them. So we actually built a Discord community at which people can answer the questions. So over the time, in the earlier stages, we used to provide answers to all the questions which is happening in either in GitHub or in Discord. But over the time, it actually moved towards a place where the community would take care of the questions. Some of them were answered by the community itself. So one of the key things about building open source project is to build a community around it, having a set of people who are actually using it. So I recently read an article essay about 1,000 true fans. So basically you just have to create that 1,000 true fans, whatever the matter be. They would just be your own fans. You can actually build your business after that. So yeah, I think that's the only thing which I can share right now.
Yeah, so think coming Sam's question. So the question is what user experience detail do you try to make sure are great with Chatboot? Also, what are some of the goals for the future of the project? So yeah, I mean, when it comes to the key details which we try to work on in Chatboot is that when it comes to open source, people expect a subpar experience, or that might not be entirely true, or at least when we started out, when you consider open source software, I mean, you're thinking about a software where you would accommodate a little bit of bugs or in terms of quality. There are exceptions, but that's a notion. We didn't want to do that. We want the experience to be equivalent or even beyond some of the commercial softwares that's like available in the market. All of us founders are like very conscious about design, so we had made sure, that thought process was like brought into attention when you're like building Chatwood. So when it comes to design, not just the aesthetics, we also like deeply care about the user experience side of things as well. We don't want to like have like extra flaws to like getting some things done. We want to like make it smooth and easy. We want the whole thing to be like as easy to use and set up, and in all aspect, wherever the user is like interacting with the software. So one of the goals, for me personally, is like it's gonna be really hard going forward as the software is like evolving. It's really easy to like bring in all those features, so it would comes with like all the toggles, bells and whistles. Like we would really try to like keep the same simplicity in picture, like which was there when Chatwood started, and probably one of the reasons why the community picked it up. So we would be striving to like keep the same experience, even though we are like evolving as an enterprise software, which can be deployed on-premise, where like if you consider the existing alternatives, people might not like care as much about like in terms of like the design or the aesthetics and UX.
Yeah, I think I'll take the next question on what was the impact you observed after providing support to local languages in Chatwood? I think it was one of the key things which actually drove adoption for Chatwood. So this was one of the things which we had in mind initially itself. Like whenever we were building a Chatwood early in 2016, we actually built it in a way that we could add more languages whenever possible. So one of the reasons for that is we have been working on a couple of large products which had multiple people using the solution. There were people who were speaking Spanish, there were people who were speaking English, there were people who actually were from Middle East region. So with these kind of people in place, you have to maintain that you have to support local languages. Otherwise, using the software would be very hard for them. So we had this in mind from initially. We added the hooks initially, but once we open sourced, we thought why don't we actually try to set up a translation project, and luckily we got a Crowdin, which was super easy to manage all the translations, and people can just sign up and then contribute to the language translation without even looking at the code. So that actually drove a lot of people using the product, because if you look at some of the languages like Korean or Chinese or maybe Vietnamese, there are people who are actually looking for our releases, figuring out what are the new text which is added to the to the installation, and then they'll right away translate all those things, because they are one of the users of the product. So right now we support around 25 different languages worldwide, and then I would say that was one of the best decisions we took in Chatwood. Thanks guys, thanks for the time. It was really a pleasure to talk to you and answer the questions from the community. Thanks for the time. We'll start tomorrow then.
Yeah, so that is a really wonderful session, and thanks a lot, Aviel team, to doing that. It was wonderful to get all those questions from the community. We would be looking forward to doing more of this. Thanks again. Yeah.